Hello everybody. I'd just like to share a few of my thoughts with you and to see what you actually think about what I'm saying and what happened to me. We often wonder, is there life after death? Well, I often wonder that the same thing. Is there a God? We knew there was a Jesus because he was here. But the thing is this, do we know if there's life after death? Strange things that happen, we can't sort of put a finger on and say, well, yes, that was that. Or unless we actually see it, we don't believe it. What people say and what people tell you, you just dismiss it. You say, oh, well, yes, he was either drunk or, completely out of his mind, or he don't know what he's talking about, or she don't know what he's talking about. But let me tell you a few stories. First of all, we'll start off with one of my friends. He was a truck driver, went to Syria, and in Syria they told him that he had to have an injection for yellow fever. He said he'd already had one, but he'd never had the card for it. So he had this jab, and he caught hepatitis B. This man drove a truck about 1,500 miles all the way back to England with hepatitis. Now that man was a really tough man. To do that, because I had hepatitis A and I know what I'm talking about. It's like walking around with 400 pounds on your back. This man, terribly sick, drove this truck all the way back to England, and he got better. And over the years, as we went by and we chatted with each other, he said to me one day, he was always joking and laughing, joking and that there, and he said to me, I've got 6 months to live. So I'm waiting for the punchline, I'm waiting for the joke to come in, you see. And I dismissed it. He said, yeah, I've got cancer. I said, oh, I dismissed it again. I thought, well, perhaps we'll get over it or something like that. Anyway, time went on and I saw that he lost a bit of weight. And he called me up one day after I come back from Germany, and he said, I've got 2 weeks to live. I said, oh, what do you mean 2 weeks to live? He said, well, I've only got 2 weeks to live now. He said, oh, this cancer's gone too bad. He said, it's out of control. And he said, I'm going to die. I said, how do you know you're going to die? He said, well, I've seen him. And I said, seen who? And he said, you'll know when your time is up. And I didn't ask him any more questions. And I said, what can I do for you? And I won't mention his name. He said, there's nothing you can do. He said, I've seen him. He said, my time's up. And I said, just tell me if I help you with anything. And I said, God, if there's a God, help this man. Take everything I've got, everything whatsoever. I said, and spare this man's life. Anyway, week went by and I went off to Germany flying again. And I came back home one night, I was sitting down and the phone rang. And a friend of mine, Ray, in Southend, he calls me up and he says, he hadn't called me for a long time. And he said, have you heard about Trevor? I said, yes, he's ill. He said, no, he's dead. So he died in that time we'd gone. Now I wondered what he'd seen. And I dismissed it and thought, oh, well, I'll keep an open mind on different things. But back in 1994, my mother, who doesn't really travel a lot, she came to see me one day in a foreign land, and she stood on my driveway and she looked at me and she said, I've seen something. I said, seen what? She said, I'm not going to tell you. Typical what women are like, I'm not going to tell you. So my father standing by said, she reckoned that she's seen Jesus. So I looked at her and I thought, well, she looked at me and I didn't know what to say. Anyway, After a little while there, she had a holiday, and then she went back home. And me going to the airport, I could get through the airport with her. And as she stood there, I knew that I would not see her ever again. As she stood there and waved at me. Anyway, I went back. She'd gone home. I found that she had an illness, and she called me one day, and she said that she'd seen Jesus standing beside her bed for 2 nights running. And I thought, well, what's this? Is this an illusion? Are you delirious? Have you had a tablet? What people normally think, that's what you're thinking now. You're delirious, your tablet, you're sick, your mind's gone wrong, and everything else. So I said, I think you'll be okay. I didn't know what to say. I really didn't know what to say. Anyway, this went on, and then my mother went to hospital, and my sister called me up, and she said, yeah, Mum said that she's seen Jesus up in the left-hand corner of the room, and he'd been standing beside her bed. And I said, I don't know what to say. Anyway, I was helping out, doing a little bit of bus driving for some people, taking them around to the schools and everywhere else, and different other parts. I went to pick up some people, and I did one round, and I was on my way back. And I was looking for a wallet, and I thought to myself, I'll have to find a wallet one of these days. I wanted one because my other one was getting split up. Anyway, I walked down, I checked the bus round, and I came across this wallet. This wallet had $17 in it. I thought, it's a nice wallet. There was no name in it, no card, there was nothing. There was just $17 in it. Now, 17 is a funny number for us anyway in our family, but I won't go on too much about that. So I thought, well, I'll put it in my bag, and if somebody call up for it and they lost it, I'll turn it in. I thought, if I turn it to the depot, they're only going to steal it anyway. They can keep it themselves. So I hung on to it, and I was driving down the road, and I stopped at some traffic lights, and the traffic lights were red as normal, I could stop. Sat there for about 2 minutes. Next minute, the lights changed green. I go forward, but a black egret from the ditch came out and went right in front of the bus. So I stopped, and he was plodding around in front of the road like this, and looked as though he was full of oil. So anyway, he off and flew back into the ditch, and I drove off. Unknown to me, there was a van behind me. Anyway, this van pulled round me and pulled up in front of me, and he was at the traffic lights, at the next traffic lights, and as the traffic lights, I was right behind him. Then when the traffic lights changed to green, he went forward, and then he slammed on his brakes, which made me stop. And he was there and laughing, put his hand up and everything else. I thought, what's wrong with the man? You know what I mean? He must be sick. Anyway, went down the road and he was laughing at them. I thought, okay, he wants to fight. Let's get out of here. Let's have a go at him, So I stopped the bus, jumped out, and I was going to flatten the man, you know what I mean? But something told me, something said to me, go east, go east. What was this voice that was telling me? And I looked at this man. You say, come on. I thought, yeah, okay. But this voice told me, go east. And I just went, I said, forget it, and I walked off. And I thought, what on earth was that? Anyway, got in the bus, drove off, picked up some passengers again, and came back round. And I was, dropped the people off at their destination, looked at the bus, and I found a round, crinkly hairband, that was women wearing in the back of the hand. I thought, that would be good for an armband, for a funeral. What am I thinking about? what am I thinking these stupid thoughts about? What's wrong with your mind, you know? Anyway, I finished my work, drove the bus back to the depot, and I had a big Marlboro bag that I put behind the seat of the bus. And there was a barrier there, which is only about, I don't know, 3 feet high, with a railing round. And the bus ceiling, as you know, is just like this up here. Nothing there. So if something fell off that ceiling, where would it come from? Where would it come from? Anyway, I bent down to pick up this Marlboro bag, and next minute, a hairband, you know, the half hoop hairband, fell down, hit me on the head. And I looked up, it's like looking at the ceiling here. There's nothing on that ceiling that you could hold a hairband on. Nobody in the bus, nobody around, nothing. I checked the bus, hit me on the head. So I thought, on earth, I thought it looks like a thing for a wreath, you know what I mean? I thought, what am I thinking about? So I put them in my bag. Thought, oh, well, someone might call up for them, you know. And went off home, and got back home, and the phone rang, and my sister told me my mother had passed away. And I knew that these things that there was a sign, there must have been a sign from heaven telling me that this was happening. This was happening. And I couldn't believe it. Anyway, I threw the half hoop band away and the crinkly hairband, but I've still got the wallet with the $17 in it. I always say keep it. So that was a very, very, very strange thing that happened. So that was one thing there. That's it. Now, there's 2 people who have said they've seen Jesus, or they've seen somebody, or whatever it was. But I did dream my mother's death, and I saw Jesus up in the left-hand corner of the room. And I told another bus driver about this, and he said, "You've seen the face of the Holy Ghost." And he said, "What did it look like?" And I said, "Well, it was a face. I could only see the head, not the neck or anything, just the head. Well-shaped face, mouth. The skin was like an olive colour. It was, I can't really describe it. It was like a very sort of, I would say like mahogany. I think about dark mahogany. The eyes were black, very well-shaped, straight nose. And it had a beard and a mustache, but it was close to the skin. It wasn't a big beard. It was close to the skin. And round the head here was a cloth cap, you know, just like a piece of toweling, you know, the old linen type thing. And there was a crown of thorns on it. But it wasn't thorns that were in it. It was as though it was the basket making material, you know, the what do you call it? Oh, come to me in a minute. Anyway, you know, you make the baskets with, just twisted round and put round the head on there like a crown on top of this piece of linen there. And it just stood there and looked at me. No expression, no movement, no smile, nothing, just looking at me. Anyway, I went through the whole process. I'm not going to go too much into that. But like I said, I dreamt my mother's death, and that was it. But the next strange thing that happened was with my father. My father, he went into a hospital, and quite honestly, I don't trust hospitals anyway. I think that they might have given him a pill and get rid of him anyway. He sat in hospital, and they told him that my sister was up there, my other younger sister, and they said, "Come up, because Dad's dying." They said his body's shutting down. So I jumped on my motorbike, and down I went to the hospital. Saw my dad there. I said, "How do you feel?" He said, "Well, I feel okay." I said, "Do you want a cup of tea?" He said, "Oh, I love one, you know." So I gave him one, and sat there, and I said to this boy that was sitting there, who was like a nurse, I said, "What's happening to Dad?" He said, "His body's shutting down." I thought, what is this thing? Your body's shutting down. What is it? You know, why can't you help him? Why are you sitting there? Why are you telling me your body's shutting down? Can't you do anything? And I looked at my dad and I thought, well, he looks okay. Anyway, I said to Dad, I said, well, I'm going to go and I'll come back and see you this afternoon. Anyway, I got back home, and as soon as I got back home, they told me my dad had passed away. And I went up in the afternoon anyway to see my dad. And then came the funeral. Now, on the morning of that funeral, my sister, she put out a load of cards on the floor, and she said, Dad, if you're here, I want to pick up the King of Hearts. Now, it's either her who said this or her husband. Well, I've got to get this right, either one or the other. Anyway, I think it was her, and her husband said, no, that's not the one, pick up another one. As she went to pick one up, she picked one up, she turned over, and it was the King of Hearts. So she told me this story. Anyway, we went to the funeral, and in the afternoon, after the funeral, we went back to her house. It was me, my two sisters, and her husband. And as I'd been to the funeral there, I thought, oh, you know, I need to go to the loo. So I wanted to go to the loo. So my younger sister said, I need to go first. She darted up in front of me. And I said, okay. So I'm standing there at the top of the stairs, looking over the banisters. Now, when I looked in the banisters, my sister had a large pot there with nothing in it. And as I looked down into the pot, I saw the King of Hearts in there. So I left it there and I went downstairs and I said to my sister, won't say her name, I said, what have you done with the King of Hearts? So she said, well, it's in that pack of cards up in the drawer upstairs. I said, it's not. She said, what do you mean? I said, it's in that pot upstairs. She said, what are you talking about? She said, show me. So we both went upstairs. She got the pot, turned upside down. The King of Hearts came out, and it had a red N on there, which was short for abbreviation for my sister, written in red, like my father's writing. Well, she put the pot down, we went downstairs, and she handed it to her husband, and he shook his head in disbelief. She said, you put it in there. I said, I don't go fishing around your bedroom. I said, looking for a pack of cards. My younger sister didn't put it in there. I didn't put it in there. My sister didn't put it in there. And her husband didn't put it there. So how did it get there, right? The King of Hearts. So anyway, things went on. And the funeral went off okay, and etc. And then I went back to a foreign land. And I said to my daughter there, and I said to another friend there, I said, also, Claire's mum was there, and I said, I'll get a pack of cards, and we'll see if that happens again to me. So I went to get this pack of cards I've been flying with, using it in India, I should say. And I've been playing solitaire with it. And you know that a pack of cards got a certain pattern on the back, haven't they? You know, it's a pattern for cards. Anyway, I get these cards out, and I look at them, and I said, I've never seen these cards before in my lifetime. I said, look at them. So my daughter's mother looked at them. She said, what's wrong with them? I said, look at them. On the back there were the same colour lilies, other flowers, same colour, roses. Had a tennis bracelet, bracelets on a piece of wood. Had a corner of a $100 bill and a $20 bill on this card. On these cards are laying out there. I said, I've never seen them before in my life. I had all these on there. So I said, Dad, I said over here, I said, I want her to go and pick up the King of Hearts. My daughter had a little square pack of cards, about an inch square, that are for Christmas cracker. And I said, Mum, if you're here, I want my daughter to cut the Ace of Hearts. My daughter gets the cards, she cuts them, Ace of Hearts. Claire's mum, go down there. She turns over the King of Hearts. Now you tell me, out of 108 cards, they had to pick those ones up? And I often use those cards, and you know, I shuffle them and ask there. But also I did another thing. I was over in Arizona there, and some people wanted somewhere to stay, and I said, come stay with me at the hotel. And this chap, Justin, was telling me he had a friend who was only 8, but he died when he was his best friend. I told him the same story which I'm telling you. And I said, well, try it. And he put these cards out. Like I said, they had the normal pattern on the back of a pack of cards. And I said, Joey, I said, if you're here, I said, I want Justin to pick out the Jack of Clubs or Jack of Spades. Because he was only a young boy, you see. Been a king or older man, I said a king. Anyway, Justin goes down there, picks a card up there, he lifts it up, Jack of Clubs. Now, that's very, very strange to think that all these people, all these things that happened, is there life after death? Well, my dad always said there is, or however you manage or not. But he used to read teacups. His time factor was a problem, but he was absolutely accurate with what happened. It would happen, but it was time factor. And if you watch one of my videos, I'll show you about the little arrowhead there, which is very, very interesting also. So now, I keep an open mind. I keep an open mind about these things, whether it's true or not, you know. But I've got to say to myself, I've got to be an 85% believer that there is, you know. And I think that life is shaped out for us somewhere along the line. And no matter what we do, we can't change it. We think we can change it, but you can't. Your life's like a mountain like this. You have a hard struggle to get to the top, and you have 2 choices. After that, you're on a slippery slope all the way down to the bottom until you hit it, and then you're dead. But there's a straight line. There's a straight line, but you go off it, you come back on it, you go back on it, until at the end, you come back on that line. So really, it's just like a pyramid, you know. Draw that triangle, and that's what life's about. But another thing that happened to me in Turkey was that a friend of mine, he committed suicide. Now, my father read my teacup. He said, you'll see a ghoulish figure. He said, but I can't make it out. He said, but if you see it, you might be able to put something to it, some sense to it, you know. Anyway, I was in Turkey, and I was up about 6 stories in this apartment, working there. And on channel 17, you put channel 17 on. If anybody rang the doorbell, you could put channel 17 on, and you could see who's at the front door to hit the button to let them in. So anyway, I laid there and I was flicking through the channels, and I came across 17, and I saw this. It was a monk standing there. When you come out of the apartment doors, you had to walk up about, say, 6 steps, and then the main floor, and then you walk off into the street or whatever. Anyway, I saw this monk standing there. Couldn't see the face, no hands. It just had the monk's outfit on, you know, with the big old hat type thing on there, and over the face, and you couldn't see the face. It had this sort of like sash around its middle, and just stood there. But the baffling thing is that right in the light that's on the door, which shines forward onto anybody who's there, so you can see who they are. But this figure, if that light was shining on this figure, it would cast a shadow at the back of the figure, right? Yes, of course it would. But this shadow from this figure came forward. And I thought, well, how can that shadow come forward on that figure. And I looked in the background, about 100 yards over, were some lights on the wall which would illuminate the other apartments, you know, but they were not bright. I thought, well, how can that happen? What is this figure? And I looked at it for about 30 seconds, and it just stood there, no movement whatsoever. Oh my goodness, you know, that sort of scared me a bit, you know. So I got on there by myself, so I switched the channel over, and I thought, I'll go back and have a look. It's gone. But I thought that could have been one of my friends who a year before, I had a little bit of a dispute with him, but he committed suicide. I wonder whether it was him. He was coming back to say, hey, I'm here, will you forgive me or forgive what I said or whatever? And I said, yes, you know, of course I would. As a type of person, I don't hold any grudges against anybody. But all these experiences like that there, I often wonder, you know, what is it? Is there something there? Have you had strange things that happen to you? If they have, you know, text me on it, let me know. It'd be great to know these different things. Anyway, I'll put it on YouTube. If you like to sit and listen to it, you know, and make up your own mind there. And say, oh, he's completely crazy. Well, I am anyway, so it makes no damn difference. But it's just food for thought to think about it. And I do believe that there's something there somewhere, but there is, whether there's a God there or whatever there is out there, there seems to be something that can tell us when our time's up, or if we should do something, or you go for a job and you don't get it. It's because you weren't meant to have it. Don't cry about it. Just say, oh, well, okay. You go on, and you'll get a better job on the other side. It's always life. It is something that I feel that through life, it's not what you have, how much you have, how many gold Rolex watches, how many big Ferraris and big houses you've got. It's what you can do for another person, how you can help a person less than you yourself. That's the main thing in life. If you can do that, then you get yourself a good life, you know what I mean? You're doing well. It's not a case of I want. The trouble is with the world, we're taking too much, we're not putting enough back. But that's another story. Anyway, I could go on forever. I hope you enjoyed this little chat, and if you like it, subscribe to me and tell me my thoughts. If you say I'm crazy, don't worry about it, I already know that anyway. So, okay, bye-bye.